How's it? And welcome back to the PH Breakdown, where I, John McHugh, a former PH of 14 years, try to armchair quarterback some hunting videos from the internet. In this episode, I'm going to do a Gemsbok hunt. Looks like it's in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. So let's jump into it and see how this hunt pans out. Yeah, definitely Eastern Cape.
That's the bigger group, but I think let's go look at this group first and see if we can't find a bull there.
So far, pretty standard, except for the fact when the PH is bending over and creeping and the hunter standing up straight with probably the cameraman too walking behind them. Just remember, PH ducks, you duck. PH crawls, you crawl. They're doing it for a reason. They're not just trying to impersonate some weird animal. It's usually because they can see what you guys can't see, and yeah, they're doing it for a reason. So just copy what the PH does. I like this shot because you can see, if you've seen a couple of the other videos that I've done with the PH Breakdown, which they've also been in the Eastern Cape, the difference in the terrain, one was in the Karoo. This, I would say, is kind of a little bit more, I don't know exactly where this is, but just by the looks of the vegetation, the grassland, I would say kind of a little bit more up Eastern Cape, where you start to get that transition from the Karoo when it gets into kind of that sweet veld area, and then maybe slowly getting a little bit closer to the coast. But yeah, nice sort of rolling hills, not big mountains or anything, acacia trees dotted all over the place. A nice area where you can really glass quite far, check in on different animals, see what's out there. But at the same time, just gives you enough cover where you can kind of hop from one tree bush to the next, as you're going to see in this video how it plays out. Yeah, a great shot there. I think obviously with this area, they've probably had some good rains just by looking at the grass, how nice and green it is. You guys will notice that there's a fence in the background of this one. That would not be a high game fence. I think it's quite difficult to tell how high that fence actually is in terms of the animals. You know, probably just that misconception of maybe the animals are closer or further than what they are from that fence. To me, that just looks like a standard stock fence. By the looks of it, probably just a simple sheep stock fence, so 8-9 strand, something like that. There maybe very well have holes in it, maybe an old fence. Gemsbok generally are not fence jumpers. They're more considered to be a fence crawler, which is quite interesting given their size. But in this particular area of the Eastern Cape, I guarantee you that there's a lot of warthogs, there's a lot of aardvarks, there's a lot of porcupines, jackals, whatever it may be, a lot of things that are crawling in under the fence. So all it takes for one of these Gemsbok is to just get that front horns, that front head, get a little bit under the fence, and you'll be surprised at how high they could push it up and crawl underneath. So I think just for the sake of this video, the fact that there's a fence in there doesn't really play much of a factor if I was to be hunting here. But nonetheless, good looking area, and looks like there's some nice Gemsbok in the bunch there. I just want to stop it there because looking at, again, it's hard to say just from looking at a video, but going by the distance, the way that the camera was on those Gemsbok and then zoomed out to where the PH and the Klein are now, that could very easily be within a 300-yard range, maybe kind of floating around 300 yards there, which to some hunters is perfectly fine, especially if, like those Gemsbok, they were looking really relaxed. They don't know that the hunters are there, and you can get prone. You could take a good shot on them. Certainly, if this was proper Karoo country and there wasn't much vegetation or brush to get closer, you'd probably find the PH would be setting the Klein up about now. But I like the way that because there's a little bit of cover that's kind of dotted around, and I'm sure these guys could make their way towards that animal, they're just going to take the time to check out each one, look for a trophy, and then I'm guessing we'll try and get a lot closer. But yeah, for a lot of definitely the long range guys, that's an easy chip and a putt right there. I think I might be on the same side as this PH here. I definitely like to get in a little closer, especially on a very tough animal like a Gemsbok. You want that shot to count. So it's nice that they're glassing it up, and I'm sure they're going to get in and close that distance for sure.
So let's just look. There is a bull here, but he looks quite young. I don't want to shoot that one. There's a couple of really long cows, but let's just see if there's a nice bull.
Good communication by the PH, just relaying it back to the hunter. I've always said this. It means a lot when the PHs talk back to the hunters. They give them that information. They make them feel involved. He just lets them know that, look, there is a bull in here. It's not what we're looking for. There is some cows that are longer in horn length, which is pretty standard for Gemsbok. Because what tends to happen a lot of the times is, especially the guys that have come over to Africa, a few weeks, month, 2, whatever it may be, leading up to the trip, they're going to be looking at animals. They're going to want to try and learn how to judge trophies for themselves. And it's always very difficult, it's always very different looking at photos, looking in books, and then seeing it in real life, kind of judging that quality. So let's say, for example, not to obviously put words in this hunter's mouth, but he may be glassing through that particular group, seen a bull. He might feel like it's good enough and probably would have been happy to take it. But the PH has just got a different perspective. Those years of experience, that seeing thousands of Gemsbok, he can just say to him, nope, that's not what we're looking for. We got to move on. So just relaying those little details between PH and hunter really is important and keeps the hunt moving along nicely. Oh, look at this. That's a great shot. So we've got a kudu, looks like a kudu cow down in the bottom corner. You've got an impala walking in the back. You've got a Gemsbok walking there. And then to the left of the Gemsbok, I don't know what species that is, just kind of going by the coat and the shape. It might either be a big mountain reedbuck or it could very well be a waterbuck female. But nonetheless, it just shows the great diversity of the Eastern Cape in one particular shot. And then obviously in the background there, look at that terrain, those rolling hills, a little bit more brush. And then you can see in the further distance, it just kicks up into this nice big mountain. Looks like it's got a bit of a cliff face there too. So whenever you're heading out to South Africa, the diversity is really right there, smack bang in your face. And even though you are going, with this particular video, these guys are going after a Gemsbok, you got to keep your eyes peeled for so many different animals when you put in a stalk on, as is shown in this great spot here. Kudu, impala, mountain reedbuck, cross waterbuck, whatever it may be. So yeah, great shot, and really, really like it. You got to be always alert in the Eastern Cape when you're hunting.
You see this one through here under the tree? That's a bull there. He's fully mature, trophy standard, but he's not as long as the other cows.
Okay, so there again, just another good explanation from the PH, just pointing out to his hunter which one exactly is the bull that they're targeting, and also just stating that it's not necessarily as big as the cows. Now, it's important to point that out because you're going to get some hunters that are very particular about the inches. They may want specifically inches on a Gemsbok, and I don't know this guy's setup. I don't know what the quotas are like on his concessions, but a lot of concessions in Eastern Cape, they're more than happy for you to take female Gemsbok. So guys might be wanting to incline to take the female Gemsbok because they're going to want those longer horns. He's just pointing out that it's a good trophy quality male, but he's not as big as the females. And this comes back to what I said earlier, when you're the hunter and you're panning through this group. And I know it can be very difficult to pick up which one's male, which one's female right off the cuff. But you might be panning across and saying, oh, there's a nice male, there's a nice male, there's a nice male, they're all big. And the PH could say, well, they're females. That smaller one is the male. So just good work here from the PH just to kind of slow things down and point out which one's which and which one they're going after. Again, that's not exactly a hell of a long shot from where these guys are. Just by the sound through the camera, you can hear that there's a bit of wind blowing. Looking at the branches, they're not really moving too much, but maybe that might be a factor that this PH is considering, where he just wants to get in a little bit closer for his client. But yeah, any other day you could probably set up for that shot and be happy, but they definitely want to close the distance here.
Just keep still, because that bull is looking this way. You just need him to lose interest. Just wait here a second.
So PH making a move to get into position. This is something I used to do a lot, and it's something that a lot of other PHs do too, is you might want to just necessarily see something, not necessarily the bull you're going after. Maybe you want to get a little bit ahead to look for a different route to put a stalk on. Maybe the rest of the herd has moved off and you want to see what they're up to. Maybe there's another male in that group that you wanted to check on. But a lot of the times, it's not necessarily for everyone to move as a group, especially in a situation like this where there's a cameraman, you've got your hunter. I don't know, there might be a tracker behind there. There might be an observer behind there. So you could easily be talking 4 or 5 people. You don't always have to move as a group for every single step. A lot of the times the PH will just say, look, just chill here. I just need to go overlook there for 5, 10 minutes, whatever it may be. If the PH says that, do as they say. Like I said, a lot of times they've got a different perspective as to what they're looking at. So if they know that you are where you are, it makes it a lot easier for them. But if they've asked you to stay put and they go to look on an animal and all of a sudden you've moved off to the left, to the right, whatever, you may have spooked an animal that you didn't know was there, but the PH did. So this is a good example of just the PH saying, well, just sit tight here for a second. I need to have a look and I'll call you over when we're ready to go. There we go, exactly that. Bringing him over. The guys are on the sticks getting set up. Look like those, I can't remember what they're called, those shooting sticks. I didn't really use them much. I think they called them the 4 sticks or the quad stick, whatever it may be. But let me just go back a touch and try and stop it on the sticks. Oh, I missed it. But yeah, it's the sticks that open up, so it holds the back of the rifle and the front of the rifle. I never had one of those sticks. I've had a couple of clients that brought them out, and they really steady up the rifle a lot better. There was a previous video I did where they used those bog sticks, where it's a clamp that actually closes on the rifle. That's also really nice. The only sort of gripe that I've ever had with these multi-holding sticks is that you are always limited in terms of your up-down movement and your side-to-side, especially with these 4 sticks that open up. First of all, because they opened up so wide, if you were getting set up in especially a brush area, you had to make sure that there was enough space either side where the sticks could open up and the client could get in behind. But then also he was restricted in terms of he couldn't really shoot down or up if need be. It was very sort of flat shooting. And even that left-right movement was restricted a bit. The bog pods, or the bog tripod that used to clamp it in, you could just loosen that sort of swivel at the bottom and it would turn and swivel on a ball. So that was a lot easier to go left and right, up and down. And I like those, the way that the 3 legs came out, similar to just standard sticks. But these ones, even though I didn't have a major problem with them, I always felt like it just restricted a little bit more of that movement. But again, whatever works for the hunter is probably the best. Here we go. Looks like they're getting set up for a shot now. The bull is standing nice and broadside, facing over to our left as we look at him, right near that fence.
Kirk, when you're ready, take him. You see the crease of his shoulder?
So, just a little something there. And look, I'm sure this PH, I know the channel that I've taken this video from, and I do know not personally, but I know that this PH has got exceptional experience, probably been on a hell of a lot more hunts than I have. But one of the things that I just picked up there was his placement of the wording. So he said, when you're ready, take the shot. And then he said, do you see the crease of the shoulder? Now, for me, that's kind of two confusing commands. It's a case of take him when you're ready, which could have been enough and left it at that. Maybe beforehand, they've shot other animals. Maybe the shooting range, he'd instructed where to shoot him on an animal. But then to say, do you see that crease on his shoulder? You kind of take in that almost command, that instruction a little bit further on. You kind of want to do it the other way around. You want to say to him, look, do you see that crease on the shoulder? If the hunter says, yes, I see it, or if he says, no, I don't, then you can explain to him where that crease is. Once he sees that crease on the shoulder, then it's, okay, take him when you're ready. So it may just be he was kind of in two minds, maybe a little bit of a slip of the tongue, but I would have liked to have done it the other way. Make sure that you see or know what the client is looking at. Do you see that crease in the shoulder? Yes. Okay. Then take him when you're ready. Just something I've picked up.
See the crease of his shoulder? Yeah.
See, now the Gemsbok's moving.
Just in that crease, okay?
Okay, there's given the instruction. So the hunter said, yes, he sees that crease, and he said, I want you to sneak it in just in that crease there. So still, by the looks of it, Gemsbok's walk in, but he's kind of maybe might want to go a touch faster, maybe getting ready to run. Just by looking at this footage, it looks like maybe the rest of the herd has moved off. They don't like any herd animals. Gemsbok, impala, red hartebeest, waterbuck, whatever it may be, they don't like being alone, especially if the herd is right there. So a lot of the times if the herd moves off, there's a good chance that that lone animal is going to move with them. And I think this is kind of what's happening at this point now. He might stop it, I don't know, or it might stop itself. Let's see what happens.
As soon as you're ready, you can take him.
Soon as you're ready, you can take him. Good instruction. That's it. That's the PH handing it over to the client and saying, as soon as you're ready, you can take him. That also tells me that PH is watching that Gemsbok and he's ready and he's passed it over to the client. As soon as you're ready, you can take him and he's watching him. Let's see how it pans out. Good, taking his time, not rushing the shot. Nicely broadside. Really good. Oh!
Shot his horn. What?
Oh, yeah. Shit.
No way I was up by that.
Shot him in the horn. Wow. Okay, that was unexpected. Let's just wind back and have a look at that again. Hunter was taking his time on the shot. It wasn't exactly a rush shot from when the PH said, take him when you're ready. We're probably talking a good 15, 20 seconds. So I'm guessing he's just finding his shot. Maybe he's controlling his breathing. We know the sticks that he's shooting on is those 4 sticks. So he's fairly steady, I'd guess. Now that we know he shot him in the horn, let's just kind of see where that horn placement is in terms of that shoulder. Okay, I'm going to stop it there just before the shot because I think this is when he took the shot. It's a nice big bull. He's got those horns all the way back, so it kind of is in line with the shoulder. If you take that shoulder and you go all the way up, you're going to see those horns. It'll be interesting to see where he hit this Gemsbok in the horns.
Shot his horn. What? Yeah. No way I was up by that much. Yeah, like way high.
All right. I like that interaction. So the PH is definitely looking because as soon as that shot went off, he said, you shot him in the horn, which means he had his binoculars fixed on that bull. Client says, what? No ways that I hit it that high. And the PH says, you definitely did. For whatever reason, I don't know, maybe he looked up at the last second just for pulling the shot. A lot of guys call that peekaboo. When you're really looking through the scope and you just get that eager, as you pull that trigger, you want to see where the animal goes, and just that little lifting of your head kind of drops that shoulder, which lowers the butt of the rifle, which brings it up just a touch. Could have done that. I don't know. Maybe the rifle was shooting all over the place. But for whatever reason, that PH was on that bull and he knew exactly what happened and he relayed it back to his hunter. So it's a wounding for sure. It doesn't always have to be blood. Any part of the animal, I always had it that if it was blood, bone, hoof, tooth, gut, hair, doesn't matter what it is, what we find, if you took the shot, it's your animal. So these guys have definitely got their work cut off ahead of them to try and get that bull, because it's definitely not going to be a lethal shot from hitting it in the horn. Let's see how this one pans out.
Yeah, like halfway up his horn.
Didn't look like it blew the horn right off by the way he was running.
I just don't want to take a frontal shot. But
This is such a crucial moment now, because obviously you've got a wounded animal, okay? You've got a herd that is spooked. I think we just saw that shot there. There might be 9, 10, 11, 12. And this is something I've preached a lot in the podcast episodes and the previous breakdowns. Count however many animals are in a herd that you're looking at for this particular Gemsbok. Let's say there was 10 and there was 2 males. You can see from the vegetation in the background, it's rolling hills, it's spotted vegetation, there's areas where it's thick, there's open grass, and a lot of the times when you're spooking those animals, you get back on them, they're going to run. You get back on them, they're going to run. You need to be able to track them and know how many animals are in there, because they're going to run through those little dips, they're going to run behind bushes, they're going to run all over the place. If you don't know how many animals there are, it's very difficult to keep track. But if you know there's 10, and they run down through a dip, and they pop out the other side, and there's 9 of them, and there's 1 male, but previously there was 2 males, you can have a good look at them. The PH will look and say, okay, our male is still down there in that draw. That's the one we're going to go after. So in these situations, this is the type of stuff the PHs always think through. It's always playing to their mind, all these different scenarios. You heard the PH there just say now, I don't want to take a frontal shot. That kind of tells me a few things. First of all, the herd is onto them, knows where they're coming from. They're obviously looking straight at them in that direction, so they probably can't close the distance as much as they want. Maybe he has a little bit less confidence in the hunter's shooting ability, or maybe the rifle, and thinks when he had a good, perfectly broadside shot on a Gemsbok, it hit so high. He said halfway up the horns. You know, that's a big, big difference. That could very easily be the rifle. He's worried if we take that frontal shot, same thing again, you might hit it in the head, you might take the other horn off, you might miss completely. So these are all the tiny little details and things that are going on in the PH's mind, especially when you're going after a wounded animal.
he's going to keep running and trotting. So as soon as you get on him and he stops, you need to get a shot, okay?
Yeah, good instruction from the PH. Just letting him know that
Okay, just keep following
you
him
need a
now.
good shot there.
Okay, the next time he stops and he's broadside, I want you to take it.
See the way that Gemsbok is trotting, lifting up like that? That is a classic sign of him. High on alert, edgy, getting ready to run. When he stops, he's not going to be stopping for long. More than likely, it's going to stop. It's going to look around, listen, try and smell, see whatever it can, and it's going to go again. That PH, just by saying to his client, it's going to trot. When it stops, if you want him, just take a shot. That's a very, very good instruction, because this animal now is very edgy and very sort of nervous of them being there. Okay, there we go. Nicely broadside again. I don't know how long they've been going after this Gemsbok. Obviously, it's edited for the video, but a good broadside shot again. I guarantee that PH is just having a look over that bull to make sure that it is. If it was me, I would have probably said to the client, let me just make sure it's our bull before pulling the trigger. A lot of the times you get in Gemsbok bulls, Gemsbok cows running all over the place. They look very, very similar. They've all got horns. Mistakes can happen. So I would have said, look, let me just make sure before pulling the trigger. You can obviously see that horn's not broken off completely. So I'm guessing this is their bull, and they're in a position, if it is, a really good broadside shot, and hopefully the hunter drops him here.
I don't know where that one is. That definitely hit him.
Sounded good. It sounded like a solid. He didn't quite react as you would expect, but it sounded hard enough. I'll be interested to know what caliber rifle he's using. Even the PH said there, I have no idea where you hit him. So let's see if it was a good enough shot or not.
He's still the front one.
Still, oh, okay. There we go. He's crashing into the bush now. He's
Yeah,
kind of
he's going
stepping
down.
around. High stepping.
He's done. You've hit him to double lunging. Where did you aim on that one?
I aimed far forward on his chest.
Like how much forward?
4 or 5 inches.
Okay.
See, the way that the PH there was just asking, where did you aim on that one? And he said, I aimed forward on him. How far? 4 or 5 inches. This is not the PH being critical of the hunter. Not by any means. He's maybe trying to figure out, is it the rifle? And trying to ascertain what exactly could be the problem. Did he aim there? Yes or no? But the fact that he said he wasn't sure where it hit, and I know that this PH would have been on his binos watching that animal, and he still didn't see it, he's probably doubting that rifle may be shooting out a little bit. So your PH asks you, where did you shoot, how far forward, and kind of pushes you for a little bit of details. I wouldn't take offense. It's normal, it's standard. We just always like to know that we have all scenarios covered when going out on a hunt. And I guarantee you that after this one, they probably went back to the range and flung some lead around to find out what the problem was, whether it was the hunter or the rifle. But Gemsbok's down. Let's see how it panned out and if they show us where it hit him on the horn. Nice to hear a bit of a chuckle. Spirits are still high.
Jeez.
I
Oh, there.
totally meant to do that, man.
Keep going, bud.
Bulls. Thank you.
Hold on, let me
Should I-
grab that. You have a look at him
Got,
there.
got one.
Okay, thanks. I'll get it up now.
Well done to that hunter. Fantastic. That is a fraction of a second in terms of those two communicating, but I love it. The PH offered to take the rifle from the hunter so that he could have a look at his Gemsbok. By now, I promise you, adrenaline's up. You got this massive dump through your adrenaline through your body. You're excited. You were going after a wounded animal. You've got it down. You're so thankful. It's awesome. You're probably thinking, how did I shoot it? Where did I get that shot? It can be kind of a chaotic, exciting moment. And a lot of the times, PH will say, I'll take the rifle. Let's put it down. You watch your animal. And for that hunter to just say, thank you, I've got one up. Let him know that there's still one up there. I didn't quite hear if he said if it was safety on, safety off, whatever it may be. But he informed the PH, who was he was handing over his gun, his weapon, dangerous item, to another person, and he let him know it was loaded. There's one up. Fantastic. Just that tiny little bit of detail. I promise you guys, it really is so important. And now the PH knows that he's got a loaded weapon. He'll probably check it, make it safe before checking on the animal. So I really like that.
Careful with that one.
There we go. PH in the background, making it safe. Fantastic. All right, let's see where they hit this thing in the horn. Oh, look at that splinter. Oh, yeah, that was right in the middle. Wow.
Check how much blood is in their horns here. So
Look
like
at that. Oh, that's halfway up for sure. Yeah. It happens, guys. It happens. I've had a couple of animals. I had a client that shot a springbok's horn off. I've had an impala horn get shot off. You don't know how, but it certainly happens. This one looks like it got hit smack bang in the middle. But also it just shows you how incredibly strong these horns are. It splintered, but it didn't break all the way off. Just kind of looking in over the top of the PH's hand, it looks like there's two shots. I don't know if there's one just to the right of the horn that as I'm looking at it, a bit of a hole there, but there's certainly one in the middle between both horns there. So I don't know if that was a follow-up shot where they were walking up to the Gemsbok. Maybe it wasn't dead and they just didn't get one on camera, or maybe that was that kill shot that we saw was broadside. And from that angle, I don't know. Must have hit something that killed it. But again, without all the full details, it's hard to say. Gemsbok down on the ground. I bet both guys are happy. And yeah, surely an interesting hunt.
I'm using the thermal. Like when I'm hunting kudu, you can see the kudu horns
Incredible
because
animals.
there's blood
They
flowing
are.
through the
I used
bones.
to love going after Gemsbok.
It
They're
goes all the way
so
up to the
tough.
top, yeah.
Makes for a great hunt. Nice ball.
Okay, guys. So we came out this afternoon.
Here we go. have a look at that through the horn. It still didn't break the horn completely. Super tough animal. Just seeing that now in that sort of middle of the Gemsbok there, I think that was definitely a shot. Could be in the second one. I don't know. Don't know what happened. I hope these guys went to the range after this and just double check that rifle. But congratulations to the PH. Congratulations to the hunter. You got yourself a fantastic Gemsbok there. Well done, boys. If you guys are enjoying these PH breakdown episodes, please feel free to put something in the comment, make a suggestion. I'm open to anything. If you guys have any particular cool videos that you find, you come along, do me a favor and send them over to me and I'll put them in the PH breakdown. I'm also going to put a link to this particular video down in the description. I highly suggest you guys go over, watch the video, and whoever put it up there, subscribe to their channel, show a bit of hunter support. That's the PH breakdown. See you next time. Cheers.